Hey, hello YouTube, Trademark Kill here, and today we have another RWBY Talk video. This one's for Volume 4, Episode 10. And boy, did we get the lore bomb we needed on two very important characters being Lai Ren and Nora Valkyrie. So we actually got the lore bomb, the massive amount of information we wanted on their backstory as I whistle when I talk. And it was a great fill-in. We actually got the preview of the ending boss basically for this volume, which is going to be a grim horse riding being ridden by another grim with long arms, claws. That it looks insane, let's be honest here, and it looks like that it's going to be on the hands of Jean and RWBY right now, because it looked like at the end of the episode that it was headed towards the town that Jean and RWBY were in. And that's huge information because that kind of lets me have a quick prediction at the final happenings of this volume, which I believe is going to mostly occur during the episode 12, because I feel like episode 11 is mostly going to wrap up Weiss and Blake. And my basic idea is that if not both, one of these are definitely going to happen, and I lean towards the second one. But the first idea is that it's going to be a situation where RWBY, for the most part, is probably going to have to distract and hold off the Horse Grim, or the Horsemen of the Apocalypse. Basically, was what this guy's seeming like. And it's going to happen to be where Jean is trying to take Crow to safety, and that, or the opposite, which is more likely, that basically one way or another, the entire idea of this arc is that we're going to see Jean's semblance, and it's going to fully manifest in being a shield or healing semblance, whether he is protecting RWBY by distracting the Grim, or whether RWBY is protecting him by distracting the Grim. One way or another, we're going to have a full-on manifestation of Jean's semblance. The second idea that I believe would be the ending for the Jean or Team Ranger arc is that one way or another, Crow dies. And that causes possibly at the last minute, as they're trying to run, and maybe he wakes up for a moment, but and it's one final helping hand before he falls or something like that, and then probably Ren and Nora are gonna show up, but just a little too late, as RWBY erupts into her silver eyes, kind of. I don't know if it's a transformation or unleashes the power of the silver eyes, and that was triggered by Crow's death. It'll suck to have to lose Crow, because let's face it, he's only been around since Volume 3, and he's made a hell of an impact not only on the characters in the story, but the audience, and his personality has made a very big impact very quickly on the audience as a whole, and how they see and view the story that goes on. So that's pretty amazing to have that happen, but to lose him so fast would be awfully tragic, but kind of fitting. Now, again, just depends on how kind of predictable do they want to be. Do they really want to kill someone off in the final episode or final two episodes like they did? Or do they want to, how do they want to kind of format this? It could be an interesting little sequence, but I feel that the most likely one is that RWBY's silver eyes emerges. And why I think that is, and maybe Crow doesn't die. I'll cut that out. I'll give that the slack. I'll put that off to the side. But what I will say, but the possibility of RWBY's silver eyes emerging actually sets us up for a Volume 5 situation where she goes into a coma, not a coma, but I guess kind of a coma or something like that for not nearly as long as they did for the end of Volume 3, but maybe 2, 3, 4 days maybe. And that what happens is that word gets around so that the world will get to Tai Yang and Yang back in Patch, and then somehow Weiss with her resources will also hear about it in Atlas. And whether it's shaped as a potential, like, oh, Beacon tried to attack or infiltrate Mistral situation, or it's, hey, we found these Beacon kids moseying around here, because basically what would happen in my mind is that they would go, Silver Eyes destroy or stonify the Grim, that's the threat. She would go pass out. They would take her and Crow to Mistral, or Mistral will see it and feel, or in some sort of way, like have their sense or defense system sense the eruption of power, and they'd send out a group to investigate. But Team Ranger will find their way back to Mistral, and that's when we'll get a semi-team RWBY reunion, because Tai Yang and Yang will pounce at the idea of going to find RWBY again. Weiss is obviously trying to get back with her team, get her team reunited again, so she will go there instantaneously, right? The only one who probably wouldn't know right off the bat, depending on how they set her up in the next episode or two, would be Blake. But as I said, Blake is definitely looking like the assassin, so there would be more time for her that needed to get into the groove of kind of becoming that one-man army or one-woman army that we are seeing her kind of slowly evolve into. Although I do find that there's probably, with how blatant the idea is and how kind of mocked it's been by Sun during the, at least, especially like the first few episodes that we've seen Blake. Yeah, it's looking a little like that would just be kind of a curveball. She won't actually do that. She'll just do a little bit and then just kind of coincidentally back up with the rest of Team RWBY. Kind of in that type of situation. So just to recap that little bit of a rant, first situation, least likely the situation is that we get a manifestation of Jean's semblance, and that's how we finish the fight with the Horsemen of the Apocalypse Grim. Or the second thing is that somehow triggered, or however it's triggered, RWBY Silver Eyes saves the day. Those two could happen, but they could also, they both could happen. One of the two could happen. But those are just my kind of two predictions for the next final 2 episodes. Holy crap, I can't believe I'm saying the final 2 episodes already. Volume 4 is almost over, boys. Now, with that being said, I do want to touch on the backstory we're giving with Nora and Ren, because that was so adorably heartbreaking. They're kind of coming together. I kind of thought they were going to go the kind of stereotypical route where Ren was going to see Nora being bullied in the alleyway and then step in to help her. But then they didn't go that way, which I'm kind of happy with, because that kind of builds the character that they have going, right? They kind of you see the evolution. He was never always this proactive type. He was kind of a little bit more scared or hesitant to go into combat. Now he's much more, as his father says, take charge, my son. He's much more likely to take charge. And it actually that was actually a very important contrasting shot to show when he ran away from the kind of bullying moment in the alley/street. When Nora was being pushed around by the 3 other kids. We also get a nice little background where we still have no clue where what Nora's been up to, or where Nora really came from. We just know that she was homeless. The kids commented that she dressed weird, so it's most likely that she was not from that town. Possibly from maybe she's from a band of gypsies, or just a homeless band that when she got abandoned in that town as they were passing through, she lost her group of gypsies or travelsmen or whatever, and she got lost in that town, and that's where she ended up for however long she was there. We still don't know that much, but we know at least how they met, And we get the very heartbreaking idea that they were, when we see them holding hands at the last shot, as my dog comes into my room. But let's also kind of talk about the very important thing that we actually found Ren's semblance, and that he is basically the incarnate of the idea of yin and yang, or balance. When he was crying and breaking down when he hid in the canal, and there's my puppers, he kind of he was breaking down, crying, very distraught, and when you see his aura manifest and then him go gray, and then slowly he becomes calmer and begins to even out. The idea of being, balanced, he became more balanced and clear-minded. He approached Nora, who was hiding under a shop or a house or something like that, and probably like a shop, one of the shopkeeper areas. And when they hugged, he was able to use his semblance to help balance her out, and then make her less upset, so that they were less detectable by the Grimm, which was a huge idea if you think about it. And it was a great reveal of his semblance, and that could do wonders, for a village wanderer or a village person who do live in these least defensive areas that he does. Maybe I'm also wrong about his semblance. Maybe it's something else that I just didn't pick up on. But it looked like he was kind of the yin and yang incarnate, where he was able to keep his emotions in check and balanced. So, but hey, if you have another idea, let me know what that could have been, and I'll probably reply to you in the comments. So, yeah, that was a huge reveal for us, and this entire backstory was huge for us. And the lead in, the tease we got, basically as what I've been calling the Horsemen of the Apocalypse Grimm, was huge. And the last thing we get to talk about a little bit more and mention is the fact that we get Ozpin a little bit more, and Oscar, and the fact that Ozpin has convinced Oscar to leave his farm and head out, but they encounter the big hulking man that Hazel. Basically, I just forgot that his name was Hazel, but he did not notice that Oscar was or had anything to do with Ozpin, so it's becoming a little bit more obvious now that Ozpin is undetected currently in terms of whatever state he is in right now, which is a huge thought process to if you think about it. That is huge, that the thing that he is currently undetectable within Oscar, so that's something good. But what is he then? If you know what I mean, that's kind of the mind-boggling thing, is that they've not found anything of him at Beacon, at least from what Salem has seemed to, or very little light that Salem has shed, that they haven't found anything of him. So it does very much seem that he is still undetectable. Where do we go from there? How does he is he gonna just say, hey, listen, Oscar, I appreciate you and all, but I'm going to take over your body now? Like, how does that, you know what I mean? What's going to happen from here? And it seems like Oscar's on his way to, go somewhere. So I see my dog moving in the background. Is on his way to follow Ozpin's command. So what's going to happen? But that's all I really have to talk about right now. Thank you guys for watching. Sorry this has been a little shorter of a video. I'm just getting over a nasty head and chest cold, so hopefully that's not going to come through too much, but thinking's hard right now. So like, comment, and subscribe as always. Termic goes out. Peace.